Now I'm going to do a presentation on how laser printers are going to work. So just to start off, laser printers it's a printer that does not use ink. It uses toner as its primary instead of ink, and it creates a very. There are a few basic hardware pieces that all laser printers use: the drum assembly, diffuser, corona wire, laser scanning unit, a toner hopper, a developer roller, the paper tray, and then the controller. Just to kind of go through how the image is put onto the piece of paper. One of the corona wires is attached to the drum assembly, and that gives the drum a positive or negative charge depending on the toner. This gives it a static charge, so that gives something of an opposite charge. So if the drum was a negative charge and the toner's positive, then they would attract. As the drum spins, the laser scanning unit shoots the laser along the surface to switch the charge on that area. This will create what would be the letters, numbers, and images that will pull the toner off when it passes through. As the drum spins, the oppositely charged toner is attracted to that area that the laser hit. And that toner stays exactly where it's supposed to because of the static electricity. It's going to be pushed away from the same charge and focused right onto the area where it's the opposite charge. The paper is pulled from the paper tray and then goes through its own corona wire to gain a charge. And as the paper and the roller get really close, since the paper is going to have a stronger charge, the toner is going to go onto the paper in the exact order in which it was on the roller. Once the toner is taken from the drum, another corona wire discharges the paper so it doesn't have a charge anymore. This happens so that the paper doesn't stick to the drum assembly. Finally, the paper goes through the fuser, which will heat up beforehand, and it will melt down the toner so that it can fuse with the paper. That's the main reason that whenever you use a laser printer, it always comes out a little warm or hot, is because when it goes through that fuser, it's a pretty high temperature. Just kind of a quick image. As you can see, the blank paper goes in, the laser hits the roller, putting in the letters, images, whatever it's told. The toner roller, it touches the toner, or gets really close to the toner. The toner is attracted to the opposite charge, rolls over the paper, and then the paper goes through a fuser, and the toner and the paper are literally melted together and fused into one. It's kind of a bigger overall picture, so you can see the path of how normally like a piece of paper would work, the process in which it goes through.
Nick, could you go to that previous picture and just follow the path and explain again?
Sure. Want me to go up? So, the paper will start in the tray in which we will go. It goes up and around, and while this paper is getting fed through, the drum kit, or the drum assembly, spins around, and then the corona wire will charge the drum. The laser will write whatever it's told onto it. Then as it passes the toner hopper, the toner will just be attracted right to that spot. Goes through. The corona wire for the paper will charge the paper. The toner gets stuck onto the paper, and then another corona wire gets rid of the charge so that the paper doesn't go with the roller. Goes through the fusers, which is already very hot, heats up the toner so that it melts and fuses with the paper, and then goes out whichever way the laser printer is set to go out.
Gentlemen, at the end of this presentation, I will ask some of you to explain that picture. Okay, it is very important for our job, so if you have any questions, even at this point, ask him, even if he has to go again.
Yeah, could you go over that quickly again?
Okay. I'll go over it one more time, a little bit slower. So paper is taken from the paper tray. The corona wire, which is usually on top, will charge the drum assembly. Once it's charged, a laser will write on it or will change the charge of particular spots to create the letters and the image that we want. Then it'll pass through the toner hopper, which when the toner gets very close, when the toner and the drum kit get very close, that toner is going to want to go right to that oppositely charged location. So the toner is going to get charged onto the drum kit. As the paper goes through, it hits its own corona wire, becomes charged. It's a very strong charge. The drum assembly and the paper get very close. The toner will want to go to the paper instead of the drum kit because the paper is going to have a stronger charge. Then the paper goes through another corona wire, getting rid of the charge so that it won't go with the drum kit. Paper goes through a set of already heated fusers that fuses the toner with the piece of paper so that it's the exact detailed image we want. And then it exits through one of the exits that you choose.
Any questions?
What is the function of the laser unit and the toner hopper?
Could you say again louder?
What is the function of the laser unit in this process?
The laser unit will write on the drum kit, the drum assembly, and the laser unit is what changes the charge in the small areas to create the font or the picture that we want. So a better picture would be the laser is going to write on the drum kit in the text or the picture that you want and change it so that the toner will want to go here instead of going everywhere. So when the toner and the drum kit get very close, the toner is going to want to stick to wherever the laser pointed at because it's a different charge, or the opposite charge specifically. That work? Any other questions? Okay. So the drum assembly itself has its own steps it has to go through. 5 steps specifically. It has to charge the drum assembly, which is the corona wire that you see. The laser writes on the drum assembly the image that the computer tells it to. The transfer toner, you transfer the toner to the roller through the different charges. Then the toner is then transferred to the paper, and finally the drum assembly has a cleaning stage where there is you can kind of see it here. There's going to be a wiper. This final unit, there's a wiper blade, and then it's a recovery blade and a wiper blade. The wiper blade removes all the extra toner that's left on the drum kit, and the recovery blade catches it and puts it into like a waste area. Kind of a better picture of that to show you. I usually go with number 2 up in the top left. Charges it, puts the image on it. Again, it's going to be using a laser, not a pen. Transfers the toner to the drum kit, goes through, transfers the toner to the paper, and then goes around and cleans a blade, will remove any excess toner, and then the recovery blade will catch it and put it into a waste area so that it doesn't all collect in a bad area. Any questions? Like I said, there are both color and black and white. With color laser printers, they go through the same basic process as the black and white laser printers do. The only difference is that they go through it 4 times. So one for each color, one cyan, magenta, yellow, and usually black. Those are the 4 most common colors. Many color laser printers will use a transfer roller. So the transfer roller will take all 4 of the toner particles in the right order that the computer tells it to, and then the transfer roller will transfer all 4 of the toner in the proper place onto the paper. That way, instead of making it 4 different assemblies, which would make it huge, it's just one unit that takes it all and then puts it onto the piece of paper. Simplifies it a lot better. Originally they did have large units that did contain all 4 assemblies, but it's kind of obsolete. So how does the printer know what to, question?
How does it know what colors to put where it studies the charge?
It's gonna, it uses the same concept with the different charges to put the particles, but how much of a yellow should I put in to make it a green, things like that, that's based on the programming. And that'll tell it how much of what toner to put where, so that the colors come out evenly. And the same concept, well, I'll tell you that later. But yeah. Anything else? So again, how does the printer understand and know what the computer's saying? Well, when you send a page through your computer to the printer, it goes through the printer controller. The printer controller is the printer's kind of like its own small computer built in. Without this piece, there would be no way to communicate with a computer at all. This is where usually the connecting ports are. So the USB, parallel if they're old enough. Nowadays, cat cables also go through this. Any kind of connection will go through the controller. The computer talks to the printer in one of 2 languages. HP's created its own called the Printer Command Language, also known as PCL. And Adobe's got their PhotoScript. The language shows the printer the image through vectors rather than just dots, how they used to be. So it's going to show it in geometric shapes, and then the printer will turn that into the dots and where to put the toner, so that the image comes out just as it's shown. Since the printer converts the vectors into bitmaps, that allows it to use its own highest resolution. So it's allowing it, the printer to maximize the image quality. Any questions? Kind of some basic differences between laser and inkjet, really quickly. Toner can yield a lot more pages than ink cartridges can. Toners usually hold thousands upon thousands of pages. Inks hold maybe 100, depending on what kind of printer you have. Toner is more expensive up front, but in the long term, it's very, very cheap. This is the reason many colleges and businesses will use lasers, because up front it will cost them hundreds of, maybe sometimes thousands of dollars, but they'll replace that toner cartridge, depending on the business or college, once a year maybe, and that saves them a lot of money versus going through a bunch of ink cartridges. Laser printers can handle a lot more load at one time than standard inkjets can, because it's an assembly line, so everything just keeps going through. Inkjets have to do most of the work in one whole step, so it's a lot harder on the printer. Laser printers have a much, much better quality, since the toner is getting put into the exact spot and then melted onto the image, melted onto the paper. It's very, very accurate and very, very detailed. Also, laser printers do require some time to warm up. As you might have seen doing the walk-arounds, the laser printers here can take anywhere from 5 minutes to 20, and that's just because it's got to heat up that fuser, so when the paper goes through, it just melts right away, and everything's fused together. So just some really 2 simple things to keep in mind. That drum is photosensitive. So when you take out, and I will show you in a few minutes, but when you take out the drum to clean up the printers, the longer it's in the light, the more it's going to affect it and could ruin the drum, to the point where we might need to replace the toner kit. So just if you ever need to take it out, do your job very quick, or put it in a darker area so it's not as effective. And the fusers do scratch and they do build up toner. That is one of the, at least the few months I've been here, that is one of the biggest causes of jams and printer errors. So when you are checking the toners, which again I'll show you that later, go very slowly, take your time, and really take into detail anything you can see. So in case it needs to be cleaned. Some of the more common printers.
Okay, 1 second.
There are a few common printers that are here on campus. They're all HPs, but there's the 9040DN. Those are the main ones that you'll see in the classrooms. There's the 4700DTN. That is the one in Wing 9. That's the color laser printer in there. The 8000N and the C4781A. The main printers we work on are the 9040s. Occasionally, we will have to deal with a color laser printer, and we have one in the office that we can use and kind of use as a practice.
Which one is the color filter?
The 4700 DTN. So the second one down, that's the color. I think the 8000 and the 4781 are both black and white. I could be wrong, because I haven't worked on one yet.
8000, yes. 4781, I'm not sure. C might
I mean color.
give me idea that it might be color. Also 4000 range also might give me. If any one of you could go quickly to the internet and verify this, it would be nice. But you can continue.
So there's some very basic maintenance tips on the 9040s that you'll see all over campus. They require a new maintenance kit about every 350,000 pages. The maintenance kit comes with 3 main components: a new fuser itself, some new transfer rollers, and then some rubber, a new transfer roller, and some rubber rollers to transfer the paper to the main assembly. When the kit is replaced, don't forget to clean the printer as well. You're taking it apart anyway. It takes an extra 2 to 3 minutes, 5 at most, to just vacuum it out, get it nice and clean, and make it look, and do a few bit of repair as well. Always check the trays to see if they need paper. There's a fill line on the top of all the paper trays. I'll show you those, and you'll be able to see where exactly paper is able to go. And then again, check the toner, or check the fuser, sorry, for any scratches, toner buildup that may be required for cleaning at 9. We have the cleaning accessories there. But just check it real quick, go through it, make sure you see any, check for any scratches or toner buildup. Some very simple errors that, common errors that we have here are paper jams, probably the most common. Empty toner, you'll see occasionally. Scratch fusers, faulty toners, some bald or bad rollers. And then the recent one that I've seen a few times already is a bad power supply. So that's becoming a little bit more common. The older that the printers get, the worse the power supplies are going to be. And then finally, here are just some a good list that I saw. Some common things that you'll find on a piece of paper. You'll see light print or fade, which that's going to be the top left. It's going to be it's a lot lighter scale gray than everything else. You'll see specks, which are just going to be random dots on the page that weren't meant to be there. Dropouts, so not the entire letter or not the entire text will be there. It may miss part of a letter or an entire word. Also lines, it could be anywhere on the page, on the sides, through sentences, through just single words, or also missing of toner in a line. A solid line, that's pretty common as well. A darker background is a big one. Also the toner may smear. you may see parts in which it looks more liquid than solid. Loose toner, where you're able to literally put your finger on it and the toner will attach to your finger. It's not a good sign. Repetitive defects, so things like 3 lines always appearing on every page that you print in the same spot. That'd be a repeating defect. Misformed characters, so a font that's not exactly what you thought it would be. Page skews, so the entire page that you want to print is kind of off on an angle. Curls or waves in the piece of paper itself, or any wrinkles are another big one as well. And that's the main thing.